We are now doing the sunrise. The sunrise involves lifting up above our heads and coming back and swinging back behind us. We do 10 sets of these. In this set, we now reach up on our tiptoes and come down and brush the floor. And we do that 10 times. I call this waking up because it's sort of like the old Folgers opening, the best part of waking up. So you reach out, coming from inside with leaning out, and you do that 10 times. As we move on, now we're going to move to the Tarzan, and that involves striking the upper shoulder regions and coming down in the kidneys in the lower part. For women especially, you want to make sure that you're getting the shoulder region and not the actual breast region, because that can cause bruising and certain types of cancers can begin from that. You're now going to get into a catcher position, and you're going to do as best you can. Not everybody can get fully into that position to begin with, so you'll just bend your knees as much as you can, and you're going to strike the inside of your thighs with the outside of your hand. This is called a knife hand strike, and you will do this 10 times. You're now striking the outside of your thighs with the inside of your hand, the area from the index finger down through the thumb. This is called a ridge hand strike or a haito, and you'll do this 10 times. The duck rock, which we're about to do, you just hold your knees and then lean back on the heels of your feet, looking sort of like a duck, and you'll do this 10 times. The front thigh slap will start very similarly to the finger brush from before, but we strike ourselves in the thigh. We do this 10 times. This helps get blood flowing to our legs. Okay, so we're bringing our feet together and our knees together, and we're rotating our knees clockwise 10 times, and then we'll go counterclockwise another 10 times. That's going to help us build up flexibility in our knees. Okay, so we're putting our feet shoulder width apart, and then we're going to rotate in the traditional manner one used to use for a hula hoop. And this is going to help us with our flexibility, especially in the hip region, which can be an area most likely to be injured without proper precaution. So we're going to do it 10 times one way and then 10 times the next. The crane stand involves standing on one foot and rotating your foot one direction 10 times and then the other direction 10 times and then switching feet. For new people, this is always overwhelming and confusing because almost no one can do it right. I'm a black belt and it's still a struggle for me, as you'll see when I switch legs. However, if you just keep doing it, your body will improve throughout. You may at the beginning need to lean against something or have a friend hold you up. There may be a number of things you have to do to begin with, but your body will improve if you keep doing this, and this will improve your balance tremendously. And that's one of the biggest things that can lead to falls and injuries. So we try to improve your balance throughout.
All right, good. But even if you can't do it all the way through, you do it to the best that you can, and your body will adjust. All right. Now, weird bow.
The weird bow is so called because it looks like a bow. You're not, in fact, actually bowing, but you're touching the floor in one direction and then bending back all the way behind you while sticking out your tongue. And this actually helps you to get flexibility throughout your back that will prevent things like whiplash or other types of injuries that happen in day-to-day life today.
Yawn. Okay, very good. Now, from here, we move on.
Now, the arm stretch is very much like arm stretches that are done in almost every form of stretching on the planet. You are twisting a little bit inward. I tested in this one to see about reaching straight down, but there is a little twist inward, so as your outer arm is going out, your inner arm is coming in a little bit. So you do that 10 times each way. Okay, the so-called squirrel push is a push behind you, and so I demonstrate this right here to show you what you're actually doing, because I will be facing away when we do it in the actual demonstration. Okay, so as you can see, we're pushing behind us, and we start with our left hand being on the bottom and our right hand is on top, and so we push back and we do that 5 times, and then we'll switch and go the opposite direction. On the 5th push, we do what's called a ki or a focus breath, and it just goes aya, and that's what we're doing there. Ki is help get the blood flowing and help make sure that you are awake. Okay, so the double elbow strike that we're about to do right here, it builds up flexibility throughout the back and the shoulder region, but it's also a great defensive technique. If you were grabbed from behind, coming back, you're driving your elbows back into the ribs of your assailant. In fact, most of the things that we do in Hanshi's warm-up are self-defense as well as body improvement things, so they're good to know. The axe kick is a straight-legged kick, and we stand in a ready fighting position. Our left hand is in a jab position, right in a punch position, and we're going to start with a right kick. We do 5 on this side, and then we will switch sides, and we will do that again for a total of 4 sets of 5. And again, much like the squirrel push, on every 5th one, we're going to do a ki, aya, focus breath. So, and this attack right here would be for a downed opponent. So, in a situation where you had gotten free of someone and they were down and about to come up and get you, you would use your straight-legged kick to drive your heel down into them, so they are going to decide to not get up and try to attack you anymore.
Okay, very good. Now,
All right, so now we move on to flying wings. Flying wings are a lot like the finger brush or the front slap, except now we're going down like wings on a bird. And this again helps with our flexibility and our stretch throughout.
very good. Now, Lynn is going to lead us in the countdown for the second.
Now we're going to do what's called the frog tongue, and we put our fists on our kidneys and we lean our head back and stick out our tongue. You'll remember that we did this essentially in the weird bow, but we're concentrating even more on twisting, pushing back our neck, and sticking out our tongue. And that, again, this is another one of those exercises that helps a lot with whiplash, but it also helps to strengthen the muscles around your neck, and actually helps youthen the appearance as the muscles within the face improve. Now we move on to the rock grimace, where we rock our neck from left to right, making a grimace at the end of each time. This helps improve the strength of our muscles in our neck, it helps youthen the appearance, and helps provide additional protection against things that might try to shut off your trachea. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the twist grimace. It's very much like the rock grimace, except we're twisting our head as we go from left to right and grimacing on either side. This is another one of those that's building up the muscles throughout your neck and your limberness as well as helping to youthen the appearance.
Okay, now we're going to combine all of the head movements.
Okay, now we move on to essentially a combination of all of the last three things we've done. And we're going to rotate our head around, sticking out our tongue when we're facing away, and then coming back around to where our chin is touching our chest. And then we're going to rotate back the other direction. You will feel dizzy at first when you do this. You can close your eyes if you need to for this. This is helping, though, with a lot of whiplash movements, but also any jarring movement that can happen to your head just through normal life. So this is very powerful way to help protect yourself in the day-to-day world.
All right. But Harold's doing this possible.
Okay, so now we move on to the splits component, which we'll do 10 seconds of the Chinese splits, which go straight down and you face forward, followed by the American splits to the right, and the American splits to the left, and then back to the Chinese splits. And the thing to remember here as we transition into the American ones is each one of these splits, everyone's going to be different. When they start, your goal is not to do it the way I do it, your goal is to just improve at each time. So that's your goal throughout this. And as you do this and the later plyometric stretching, you will find that your splits get deeper and your flexibility increases. Now we move on to the split touches. And with the split touches, we're seated and we are going to touch in the three different directions, and we're going to do that 4 different times. This will help with your stretch as well.
Strong. Yarn. Good. Now, pulling our thighs in tight.
Now we pull our thighs in tight and we hold them for 10 seconds. This is the first of the true plyometric components that I mentioned and will actually help your stretch. Now your arms are going to work like a resistance band against your thighs as you pull your thighs apart for 10 seconds. Again, this is another component of plyometric stretching. All right, now we're going to get into the butterfly position, and we're going to bounce our thighs up and down while we do focus breaths. And these focus breaths, we clench our stomach as though someone is punching us, and we want to make sure they can't knock the wind out of us. You will feel a lot like you do when you do sit-ups, that sort of tension in the stomach. And you'll do this between 15 to 30 times. Now we're going to just let our thighs separate and just let gravity pull them toward the ground. We're going to count to 10, and then we'll move on to one last resistance exercise. And now we repeat the early exercise where our arms are resisting against our thighs as we try to separate them. And this will help make sure that we have stretched both sides of our legs.